Okay. So if you are new here, thankfully we are on multiple different platforms now, and Instagram is actually working. So this is week 2 of Coffee Hour with our I don't even know, you're not even a guest, just our community manager, Anthony Parra, who is a fitness coach. You guys obviously know what I do. If not, you know where to go to check that stuff out on my channel. But we're gonna be talking about a little bit deeper concepts today. So yes, last time I guess, I mean, you were on the road last time, yeah, so you were in the middle of the cotton fields, you said, driving through it. No worries. So what did you have to do out there?
It was kind of just personal travel. I was just meeting a group of buddies that's at tech school for what they're doing in the military that's happens to be close by where I live, so I was traveling to see them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, military, obviously, we all got split up after, our schooling and stuff, so going to see people is, gets to be a hassle when you're an adult. It's one of the sucky parts. It's not like middle school where you can just show up to English class every day and you can say what's up.
Yeah.
So
Just have to capitalize when they're close enough, you know. So
yeah, you gotta make an effort. You have to actually try, which I think says a lot about then who your friends are, because you do have to put effort into it. So it gets a lot easier to discern that. So that was last week, and then we talked about mainly how to. I'd say one of the biggest topics was branding in terms of influence versus authority, and how you are able to discern between when to use both. Ideally, you need both. You need to obviously have some sort of credibility behind you, which is the same as authority. And then for influence, you need to be able to sell essentially or have a way of persuading others. So, and we obviously talked about which ones we prefer, which ones we need to get better at, the differences we need to make within our content. Obviously, your content, my content is going to be a lot different. And I think, again, if there's anybody watching that's a fitness coach or in the fitness industry, then they could get a lot out of this discussion, especially since we're going to hone in on Anthony's pros and cons. So, today's the topic is going to be getting into the nitty gritty. A lot of you want to see more detail, so we're gonna open up Anthony's profile and we're gonna go through some tactics for improving his call to action and some of his ways to get people within his network as a whole. So whatever he's gonna sell at this point forward, he has a system to do so. I see we're getting more people in, so if you're again new to this, welcome into this discussion. And let's just get right into it. So, first of all, I'm gonna pull up your Instagram and let's see if I can. I don't know if I can. I'll have to do it in a separate tab because we already have one live streaming. Um, cool. Can you see this on? Do I have my screen share? I guess I have multiple different platforms that I'm streaming on. So let's do this tab. Okay, share. Cool. And we're gonna go to search pump. I cannot spell your name, but it still came up. All right, so this is your profile. Does that look right?
yep, that'll be it.
So obviously you've been posting a lot of gym content. You got your military in there. Well, so can you walk me through kind of what you went through? I'm gonna open this all the way. With your strategy and what your plan is to get people working with you.
Yeah. So basically, um, as you can tell, I only have like 20 something posts there. I've had more, but I've been going at this for not a long time. So like we're looking at like a 6 month time frame. Originally not working with any sort of kind of like set out plan, but more just my idea was I'm just gonna post and try and gain traction by documenting what it is that I do in the gym. Um, just because over years, it's been like 6 years now of consistent fitness training, just because I'm passionate about it, but it's to a point where, like, I kind of started, the people that I was close with, I would start to, like, almost train, or at least give advice, weekly about how they might achieve their goals better in the gym. And so one day, one of my buddies was like, "Hey, why don't you do this for, like, other people, to try and teach what it is about, fitness, exercise, dieting, things like that." And there's a lot of people that do it, but there's also, like, a large, obviously, the grand majority, of not even the United States, but the world, doesn't have that kind of knowledge. So no matter how many fitness, influencers there are in the world, they're still like they exist because most of the world lacks what they have, which is either a good physique, um, a higher level of physical health, something like that. So that's just kind of what I'm trying to tap into at large. But if we get into sort of like a strategy plan to grow my own personal brand. That's kind of been a new concept for me in the last like 2 months, where it's like, hey, I need to, if I really want this to go anywhere, it needs to be more than just me posting, hey, here's what I did to work my chest today, or here's what it looked like for my cardio session. While some people that are close to me, like they kind of engage and they follow what I do, to reach the masses, it needs to be more refined into like teaching people, and having some sort of actual offering instead of just documenting my experience rather. So I'm pulling up where I have written kind of a broad scheme of my plan here, but right now I have it broken into months, or rather phases that fit into months. So for the next month to 2 months, it's going to be phase one, where I'm focusing really heavy on brand positioning, and content refinement, where my goal is to clarify my message online to improve my content quality and increase engagement. As you can kind of tell here, if you got it pulled up, like if you want to scroll down to like some of my first ones, you can already see sort of a difference in, let's see, I can't tell if you're scrolling or not yet. It might be frozen. Caleb, can you hear me? No, there you go. I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
So you said scroll down to what?
I was just saying scroll on some of my earlier videos, like towards the,
Yeah.
and obviously I've had a lot more in between, in the last 6 months, but I just kind of delete ones that I don't feel like are pertinent. But see, like you can tell, like even from scrolling a little bit more, yeah, like I don't like I have no like my cover image is like nothing. It's just like a part of part of the actual video. I don't really have captions throughout, and this one is like one that got some more views than the average, but these are just really rudimentary, as you can kind of tell. Like it didn't take a lot of effort. And then if you kind of go out more, something like this, like is a new concept. We got a little bit more engagement there, where you're replying to somebody's comment. Keep scrolling up a little more. And these I kind of get into doing like voiceovers for the first time. To the point where you kind of keep scrolling a little bit more. Yeah, this squat tip's not bad, but so this one I had captions. That was like one of the first videos where I started implementing captions. But the video I posted yesterday was like, I think like to the sort of the peak of what I learned so far about content creation, about dumbbell flies. But see, as you can tell though, it starts out really rudimentary. And so this is why I have it set up right now. It's where I'm focusing really heavy on making sure that people understand what my actual brand positioning is, as opposed to just he's a guy that documents his experience, and then also that my content gets refined better. So that's gonna be months 1 to 2. It's my focus for now. And then once I shift into the next phase, which will be kind of growth and audience expansion, months 3 through 6 of my 1 year goal. The goal in here will be to increase reach and engagement, to start collecting leads for future monetization, start thinking about maybe doing collabs with other creators, or at least my friends or something like that, to where like it can be expressed as more of a community effort instead of just myself. Introduce an email list, perhaps another community like we have going on for here. And then focusing really heavy on getting my content more for growth instead of just establishing my positioning. And then that moves me into phase three, which is the last half of the year, which is monetization, business expansion. So by this point, hopefully I have content that's well refined, that it looks good, it's appealing to the eye, it catches people's attention, it gets you what good engagement, and then through that I can kind of use that as sort of credibility, to just start testing out, doing test groups for like coaching, or developing a low cost product to kind of see what the market thinks about it, or maybe even to seek sponsorships as well. So right now I have it broken out into a 1 year kind of game plan. But yeah, like I said, it's broken into 3 phases, starting out with refining my content.
I think that's a best way to do it. Some people don't even get that technical. They just go like 90 days is the most they'll focus on in terms of strategy because I mean at some point it's like the butterfly effect, right? Like they're like, well, at some point I can't control what happens and there's too many variables to look that far in the future. But I mean if you have a 1 year vision, obviously it doesn't have to be like a strategy or like a step by step up that long unless you're like a war general or something like that, right? Like you you have to understand that in some ways, the algorithm success and all that, things are gonna change, trends are gonna change, whatever it's gonna be, that'll fluctuate a little bit. But as long as your vision, like you said, is kind of like in the right aspect and you can think about the stages, then the actual day-to-day content can as long as it aligns with that is gonna pretty much get that still done and build out your brand. It just might look different from what you think it's gonna look like right now, 6 months from now. So let's go over your bio a little bit. Do you want to explain like what each of these different lines mean?
Yeah, so this is working with some of my AI tools. Originally my bio just said something about like it was just kind of playing on my handle, which is Pump Para. Something like pump and joy or trying to spread the joy kind of thing. I was just trying to be funny. But I was working with my AI, my my yeah, I use AI as like a personal coach kind of thing. Um, and what it was trying to tell me is that the purpose of the bio is to let's see. Yeah. So your bio should tell people who you are and what you stand for. And it should be very clear. Like people shouldn't have to try and guess what it is you do by reading your bio. It should say what you offer and who you help so that this part shows your value. Like why should somebody follow you? They can just get that clearly by reading your bio. And it recommended also including a call to action. So this is kind of I don't really I'm not super tied to this bio that I have going on right now. But as it reads, it includes emojis to kind of catch the eye. My first line is basically explaining what it is I'm trying to publicize to the world that I do, which is helping men become stronger and more capable. Uh, and then the second line, it's kind of just doing a little break there to get to the point, like the type of content I post. It's about strength, discipline, military mindset. As I am in the military, I try to capitalize on that as a means of credibility because being in the military inherently means that you have to adhere to some sort of fitness standard that the rest of the world doesn't. And then a little bit more about what I post, daily gym tips and motivation, and then a call to action at the end. I don't at the current moment have like it's not set up with an AI bot to just send people an automated message if they DM me fit. But it's more like if somebody goes to the effort of DMing me, like my thought process is, and I'll just go through what it is they're trying to achieve, see how I can help them in the meantime, whether or not I have an actual product or coaching service developed yet. So that's kind of the thought process there.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. So, what I lo- okay, so let's start maximizing this to try to get the most conversions possible. I'm gonna point out what I think. I don't know why for some reason Apple Music just opened for me, but that was weird. Let me de-maximize this. Okay, there we can see each other again. So, yeah, I wrote down a few things too, but at the end of the day, like I think your bio, anybody's bio needs to do three main jobs. It needs to say first who I am. Obviously, it has your name in here, so that's a good start. Depend. Some people use a call sign or remember like a nickname they want to be known as on their profile. I think it's good because you have your last name in your bio, so that ties into some branding. But you actually say what your full name is, which a shows that you're not afraid to be posting under your real name and you actually believe in what you're saying. So that's always a great sign. I use my full name too, so that people know who I am and can start building that brand early. So, but more importantly, like I would say who you are is, I'm Anthony Para. Like what I wrote down from what I saw here is, I'm kind of dedicated to helping men become stronger, more disciplined, and probably more capable in all areas of life. Not just fitness, but in other areas. And that doesn't even have to apply to physical strength as well. So that's kind of I would say who you are. If I had to take from an outsider's perspective, a summary of it, what I do is the second part of that. So, what do you do because of who you are? How does that look in the day-to-day life? Kind of like what you talked about with your vision. Where do you want to be 12 months from now? But what does that look like in the day-to-day? So what you do might be I share daily gym tips. Maybe it's motivational posts, maybe strategies, things that are kind of rooted in that like strength, discipline, military kind of mindset to help you, I would say, push past those limits, whatever limits you have in your life, and build some resilience up. So again, I think like a post like this is a really good sign of it. Being able to show like the nitty gritties and everything, like meal prep isn't fun, but you're still showing it. It's something that has to be done. Essentially, it's that discipline side, but you're not afraid to show the pros and cons. You're obviously showing off your gains here, so people can see the pros side of it. But obviously, you have to show. It might be might be kind of shit in the moment. So, and then finally, how you can do it. So, basically, that's the structure of any bio: who you are, what you do, and then how you do it is kind of the call to action. So, if you want, so it's saying if you agree with my identity of being somebody that is, disciplined, dedicated to becoming stronger, becoming more capable through physical strength, and you also want to be able to have those tips and strategies, then this is what you do to make it happen for yourself. So, a lot of times that can look like, if you're ready to put in the work and, transform yourself, just DM me fit to get started or DM me gains to start chatting about a plan. So I see right here, it says DM fit if you're ready to work. So I don't think honestly you need to change too much of that, the call to action. But I would say around the call to action, it doesn't necessarily say what you're gonna be doing if they DM you fit. It just says if you're ready to work. So if they DM you this word, what can somebody expect to get out of your chat with them? Can they expect to talk about getting on a calls for coaching programs? Could they expect getting a guide for nutrition? Could they expect just building a connection with no sale? I don't know. Like if I DM you, what type of sales pressure you're going to be putting on me. So that's kind of a good expectation to set on the front end. So maybe in order to rewrite it, for instead of DM me fit, I would say something more about, well, first of all, we have to figure out what service you want to offer. So, what's something you primarily want to focus your efforts on right now as a business? Do you want to be more of a coach? Do you want to put out more content and build like a YouTube channel, or do you want to build more of a newsletter, a mailing list, or a community? I don't know what your focus is right now.
Yeah, I see it less as like well, I'll just say I have less of an interest in being kind of one of those fitness influencers, and more of an interest in just showing men that, there's more to the importance of fitness than the way you look.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe that's easy to clown on because it's like, oh, he's just small. He doesn't, you know what I mean? But it's actually true. Like I'll just give some examples. Like my whole life, if somebody needs help moving something and they know me, it's like I get called to help move people. Like being in the military too. Like just like in the last month, I've had to help move with like two people. It's like, why do they call me? It's like, well, because I'm capable of moving things, or what are you gonna do in a situation where like your child in the future runs in the street? We've all seen those videos of like, you know, the stroller running away, or not running, but like being, you know, kind of on its own track down a hill into traffic, and it's like this overweight mother can't do anything about it because she keeps falling because she's overweight. It's like in those kind of situations, though they might not happen super often to us, like as a man, you should be able to step up and do something about it. You know what I mean? Or just be of some kind of help. Just be a more capable person for those around you.
I'm noticing too, and this is it's not a crazy realization. I'm not changing the world here with this fact, but like even like in the military, right? Like I have other people in my office that are technically have more would have more authority than me, but I am in better shape, like, and I look better and I look more capable as a person because I work out and take care of my body and I look good in my uniform and stuff and I look like I am a strong person. So like I think even though like there's for example, there's somebody else that, outranks me in that time in being in the military like that, and they still choose me to help them with these tasks. I think because in the back of their subconscious, they're like, well, this guy seems more capable of performing on this job. And again, I know that there's a lot of ways you can perform, and I know most people would feel uncomfortable talking about that, but it does play a role into how you're perceived. And if you're gonna have a brand at some point, it does again, I'm not doing a fitness brand like Anthony is, but I still have to take care of myself. I'm still working out every day. So that way, like my t-shirt can fit to my bicep here. And you can see that like I clearly take care of myself. Otherwise, if I had all like flappy arms and I had, the I forgot what they call it, bat wing arms and all that, like it'd be like, well, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about because he clearly has no discipline in his life. So how do I know if I work with him, he's going to have the discipline to perform for me? And again, there's a lot of ways to measure discipline, but I do think not having the time to take care of your health is obviously the biggest impact on your success. And at some point, obviously, will lead to a shorter lifespan and less enjoyment out of the things in your life, like Anthony talked about, not being capable of providing and protecting for those around you. I'm going to show you my bio real quick, in terms of what I mean, because this is who I am. And so I make who I am kind of a point to draw curiosity on. So they kind of know this is who you I said this in one of my videos, but you should make it very easy for people to put you in a box. I know that's very you don't people like are complex creatures and you want to be figured out on a deeper level. That's for your girlfriend, that's for your wife, for your boyfriend, your husband, whoever you have in your life to figure out. Like you can engage with those people on a deeper level. But when someone is on my profile and getting a first impression, they need to know who I am on a level that is most important to what I want them to do with me. Like I'm not taking them out on a date from seeing my Instagram profile. So I want them to engage with my call to action. So the who I am is going to be specific to lining them up for the next step. Because I could say, I have a private pilot's license and I'm a pilot, but what does that have to do with having to take action on my profile, right? Nothing. So it doesn't pay to mention like things that really don't add much to your life. They can come up in content or little pieces of videos for people that want to engage with you more, but say the most important thing in your who I am that relates to what you're about to say, because otherwise you're just adding nonsense. So I say I'm the owner of Ascend Consulting because they know that, okay, this guy has some sort of business, so he's qualified to talk about business. And he's probably works with helping people. So they kind of get that in their mind built up. The next step, what I do is I help coaches monetize and automate. I don't really need to say any more than that. I used to say I help coaches monetize, but I even worded that shorter just to be as simple as possible because you can read that and it's very hard to misinterpret what that is. I have to be a coach. I have to have some sort of coaching business, and if I need help monetizing or scaling or using AI or tools to make my systems better, then this is the guy to go to. And again, you can add a million things to this, and we'll go back to yours and go in through and fix it in a second. But you could say like I help people maximize their revenue. What does that mean? Like, because there's a lot of companies that are more specific. So if I have a problem with creating better YouTube videos, because maybe my Instagram is perfect, but my YouTube sucks. And if you say I'm going to help maximize revenue, well, maybe I don't need help with like people paying for my stuff, or maybe I don't need help with keeping members in my community. Like maximizing revenue can mean a million different problems, and you don't want to be that generic. You want to be specific to the one problem you're really good at solving. So then finally, once you've done that, you want to offer the how to do it or like your call to action. So what I'm doing is I'm saying I'm offering free funnel audits for this week only. In reality, it's probably gonna be a little bit more than like a week or two or whatever, but it gives time restraint on it and it gives them the ability to need to take action now. So it's like, again, like if somebody says we have $1 coffee today versus we have $1 coffee is gonna be like, okay, well, they just have shit coffee. But if it's $1 coffee today, then they're like, shit, they're giving me a good deal and I need to do something about it now because I might walk by and I might never have this opportunity again. So I'm gonna go in and buy my cup of coffee and capitalize on that. So ideally keep it time restrained and say exactly what you want them to do to engage. So the one thing I noticed, yours was more DM based and mine is link based. So mine takes them to a Calendly link. I also have my other things down below, like the free community where we're hosting this live stream right now, the growth guide video. If you're doing this, and if any of you have a YouTube channel, Para, if you're going to get into YouTube, I would only attach, what I'm seeing people do is attach one video. Don't put the link to your channel because that's not really taking them anywhere. Ideally, put the link to a specific video that is going to help them take action. So what we'll do is we're going to put our first video for our mindset course in here at some point, probably. And then that gets them to take action and join our community. If you guys didn't do that to begin with. But then too, like when you click on the link, the video starts playing automatically and you're automatically getting more views on your video just by having a specific video linked in there. And then obviously the free funnel audit is what I'm pushing right now because that's the most important thing for my agency. So you click on that and I'm going to change the screen share real quick to show you where that took you. It just took you to this link right here where you can set up a call for a time that works for you. Boom, pick your best preferred time and get your free funnel audit. And again, that's my call to action. So again, going through how I have it set up, pretty simple. And I don't really say more than I need to, but that's also kind of the point of it. We'll go back to yours now. And obviously yours is in a different industry as we talked about, but let's see what we can do to potentially maximize this. So who you are, again, I said I'm the owner of Ascend Consulting. Who you are can, again, like you said, refer to, this is more of like what you do or what your focus on. If anything, if I'm just giving you blanket advice, what I would do is I would probably get rid of this line because these are just generic topics. People know by seeing your profile pictures and seeing your name that this is basically who you are, and they'll see right away that you're in like military uniform. So you don't need to say really any of these things for people to figure that out just from taking a glance. So that's kind of like wasted space in a bio. I would move this line to be this second line. You could, it's fine, honestly, leaving this for now. But then for your new first line, I would say something like who you are. So let's go back to mine one more time. So I just said I'm the owner of Ascend Consulting, and that's the most relevant thing for selling my service. So based on what your service is, which is, could you define that one more time for us?
Yeah, so it's just difficult right now because I don't have an actual developed, like, I don't have a Calendly, I don't have, like, a regimen, I don't have any digital products, but the vision would be, um, coaching either alongside or in a community kind of platform, men to become more capable and less focused on the how I look aspect and more like, what am I capable of performing?
Okay. So let's honestly, for right now, then let's take this line out. We don't want people to DM you because you don't have a program to offer. And then for right now, I think until we develop that program, let's just keep you focused on specifically your content. Okay. So what I would do to change this is I would take out the second line, I would take out the fourth line, and you can even just stick with these first two lines if you want. Or you could add potentially like a third line down below, which would be your new call to action. Just be like, um, drop a follow if you enjoyed this, because that would be the best way they can engage with you if they like what you said. And that way they know, okay, he doesn't have an additional service right now. Or you could hint at something coming potentially like, stay tuned for my new course dropping this, or stay tuned for my coaching service starting this day, or something like that. So people know to check back in. But I've seen people a lot of times that are, if they decide that in this season of their progress that content is the biggest focus, I've seen them just do who they are, or I guess what they do, and no call to action, but I'd say who you are and what you do. So honestly, you could take this out if you wanted because they can kind of see that as well. So honestly, you could just do this as who what you do, helping become stronger and capable, but then above it, add who you are. So
Okay.
if you don't have the identity statement yet that says who you are, then we can craft that right now. And I would say, what do you want to be known for in this space? So, like, and I think to do that is actually going to be easier if we look at some other examples. I'm just going to type fitness coach and see who comes up. We're going to get some examples here. Let's look at Jake Rath. So he is the founder of this, brand, Rathletics.us. So he uses that. He doesn't even have like a what he does or call to action. He just keeps it very simple. So, because he wants you to focus more on his other companies and he doesn't really want you to have to read a lot, but just click on his other links. So, it's one way to do it, but not ideal because I think in that aspect, let's go back real quick. It's kind of death by mentions. You don't know which one to click on and what to do. There's also a link down here. So, I would, if I was working with him, I would say simplify your structure, have everything in the link me, and then just have a call to action to click down here. Or just say a little bit more about what you do and have just one thing. I think honestly, in some ways, it kind of looks like he's trying to flex all these different things that he does and not really focus his efforts on one main business. Let's go back to fitness coach and see who else comes up. Joey Fowler. Okay, this is pretty good. So he just says, I've seen this happen a lot. Have you ever seen people that have their name and then they say online fitness coach?
Yeah.
Do you know why they do this?
It's pretty clear what they do if you do that.
Yeah, because it comes up when I search fitness coach because it's part of his name now. So it appears in search results. And obviously he's doing quite well because of that. And you can see what he does. So lose fat and build muscle without restrictive diet. And then he obviously just kind of has a link. I guess he put his call to action first, DM fit for coaching info. I would prefer you do it in the order I mentioned, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to you. As long as you cover all the parts, I guess apply for coaching is another call to action. So if anything, I would recommend he gets rid of these and just has one main system because then it confuses people. I like think about it like you're training a dog. If you tell your dog to sit and then you're also like going like this while you're walking away from it, your dog's like, what do I do? Right. And obviously people aren't dogs, but like you want to make it extremely stupidly simple to understand what to do next. So obviously everyone has a little bit of something they could work on. Okay, I like this one a lot. So you can see the structure of this is really well set up. So name, and he also has online fitness coach in the name. The only thing I would do is if you're gonna go this route and do it so you appear in search results, first of all, you don't also need to put fitness trainer as your category. And if you do, you don't have to display it because you just put that here. Uh, and it's pretty obvious that that's what he does. But you want to do this before you get verified. And again, you can just pay to get verified. So when you DM people, it's going to make you look better and stand out. They're going to see a blue check and they're going to want to click on your DMs. That's a big reason I do it. So do that before you get verified. So that way it's really hard to change it afterwards. And then what he does, right? I help busy full-time workers lose 30 pounds of fat, gain muscle, spending an hour or less in the gym. That's kind of wordy, but as you can tell, that's very specific. So for a lot of reasons, I do love that. And he says 120 days guaranteed. So honestly, he could say all this in about half the words if he wanted. He could just say, lose 30 pounds of fat with 1 hour in the gym in 120 days or money back or something like that. And then his call to action. You see how he has that? So it kind of who he is defined up here because he kind of has it in his bio, but you could say that too in your kind of what you do. This is what his service is. But he has this, so let's look at his service and make it a little bit more specific. So he has a type form. Why do you want to work with me? Let's just say I want to lose 30 pounds of fat. Describe your current physique. Not there. What's your age? 69. Well, how much are you willing to invest in yourself to get in the best shape of your life? So that question, I don't know if I like that question a lot because some people are just going to say $0, right? And then other people are going to give you a really specific answer. But I would recommend that you give people like a range to choose from if you're going to do this. So that way it feels like you're not just because it feels like he's trying to squeeze as much money out of me as possible. Like all of a sudden I $1,200 and then his service price is $1,195. And he's like, oh, well, you said you could afford that. So I don't really like this question. If anything, list multiple choices and say like 0 to $500, 500 to 1,000. And then people kind of know when they click on one of those ranges that A, he's testing my qualification for price, and B, he's probably going to have a different service level at each one. And so I would recommend when you have services, like you can just not take anybody that says 0 to $500 because they just can't afford to work with you. That's fine. They could just end the survey there. And if they say 500 to 1,000, maybe you have like a small version of your coaching program. And then if it's over 1,000, you actually take them on full time. And Typeform does a great job at organizing these things. So let's just say that I don't like this structure all the time because usually you want to start with contact info because I could just get here and be like, well, I don't want to give you my info and I could back out. But if you start the survey with asking for this stuff, then people genuinely do it because they don't know what's next or how effective it's going to be. So in order to submit it, you have to put it in. I mean, it's up to you, but typically I would also ask for an email too, because that builds up your email list. So I mean, if that's kind of the structure you could see he used, I also have a type form I use, and then finally let's look at his highlight feed. Let's pull it back up to this page. So he has nutrition, client wins, winners, I assume mindset, and Q&A. So that's a really good way to do it. Let's click on client wins, probably our most important tab. 15 rep range PRs. Proud of you, brother. So he like posted somebody's chat with him, and he posts like a little picture of him with like an overlay of a screenshot. So that's really nice. He talks about he has other people film testimonials and send them to him before and after pics. You kind of getting the idea of some things you could do here?
Yeah.
Okay, but obviously you don't have a lot of testimonials at this point. It's fine because we're going to work with people to get those testimonials and we're going to do that for free. So I'm going to show you, or you can do it at a discounted rate. That's fine. So looking at his bio, I assume you can kind of figure out how you want to tweak yours a little bit. And yeah. So the only thing I would add is, I mean, you can get rid of honestly all of these 3 lines. If I had your bio, I might do that. I might just keep this line and then I might just add another line about what I do, like helping people, I don't know, find their dream physique or something like that if in 30 days or 60 days of coaching. And then who I am, I don't know, military guy trying to share a discipline mindset or something like that. Whatever it's gonna be. But basically, if you don't have a specific company or service you offer, you can just say again, more of like what you do or what your mindset is who you are. So military guy or something like that that does fitness coaching. So that's the bio side. Now the since we got about 15 minutes left probably. I want to get to the last part, which is going to be how do we outreach to people when you have your service. So we're going to focus another lesson on really breaking down how to set up your service. We're assuming that most people already have that. So I'm going to show you how I've been outreaching to people. I'm going to show you an example and kind of like do it live. So let's start with mine actually, so I can show you an example of a service. So my service is I want to push people to meet with me on a free funnel audit. What that looks like is right now, honestly, I deleted all of my highlights because my highlights were tied to past companies and stuff. People can see and people know I've owned businesses, but I'm starting all my highlights fresh to show you guys that even I can redo this. So I have a client wins tab. What I'm about to add are 2 to 3 different tabs. I'm going to add a tab for testimonials like that guy had of people that met with me on these free funnel audits, which is how I'm getting value. If I can help them, I'm going to get some highlights built up because this is very important leading to link clicks. Then the other thing I'm going to do is have another highlight reel that's talking about what Ascend does. So that way, if they want to be a full-time client, they can see what that process looks like. And that's going to be pinned as a highlight. And then obviously make use of your pin post down here and pin some good feed posts that talk about what your services are as you develop those. That's actually on my to-do list as well, because I'm revamping my Instagram. But so if I wanted to reach out to somebody, honestly, I might take someone like, let's say Jake. He's got 11,000 followers, right? I don't know how many of his followers are actually active people or not. Sometimes people pay for them, so you can kind of get an idea of like whether or not they're a real account or not, or if they're just about the hype. There's ways that I actually will check before I even bother sending a message out to people. So I use have you ever heard of Hype Auditor?
I'm not. No.
So Hype Auditor is a tool I will use to see who's actually legit or not, because obviously it's so easy to buy followers and like to fake your stuff. So I'm gonna pull up this tab. This is Hype Auditor. So I looked up his profile. He's got a 5.7% engagement rate, 11,000 followers, 657 likes, and he averages about 27 comments. So for 11.8 thousand followers, I would say he's pretty legit. His audience is pretty real. He doesn't have he didn't buy his followers. I would say we can go yeah, you can see it's almost excellent. So he does a great job with his stuff. He has a growth figure of 2.45%. Is what he's averaging in a 30-day span. So he's actually growing pretty good. This is way better than your average stock return. But we could type someone else and just see. For example, I know a guy actually that's I think I follow him to be honest. That I know pretty much has a fake following, but I wonder how much Ty Lopez is. Let's look at this guy, Smith Reese. So he's got 165,000 followers, and he's obviously posting with like the McLarens and stuff. Let me type him in. I have to sign up for it. Let me go back and use the other tool that I use. I guess they added that sign up. Oh, they make you make an account for it. So let me go to um I forgot what the tool is called. Supermetrics is really good. So the reason I would recommend you check this is because you want to make sure somebody is actually worth your time. A lot of times, and again, my business is different from yours. You don't really need to do that. If you're an agency, let's say you're an advertising agency that needs to find business clients, you want to make sure the business is actually an engaged business that you can help grow. If it's a business that has 30,000 followers but gets 2 likes a post, then they're not a good business for your advertising agency. If you're a fitness coach, Anthony, you're probably not going to need to focus on this, but like some sorts of other coaches are probably going to need to care more about that. So let's just say I am human. We're going to go Real Smith Reese. And then I just check these things because obviously for my business, it does matter if you are participating in that stuff and have good engagement. Let's see if it finds this guy, for instance. So he has a 2.2% engagement. It's quite a bit lower. Could be real, but definitely not as ideal. Obviously, when you get to those higher follower counts, then it gets harder to keep engagement up. But may or may not be real, but he has had some videos blow up for him, so probably does have a decent engagement rate. But yeah, obviously not as good as if you had 500 followers and half of them were engaging. So that ratio is obviously expected to go down with the followers. But let's go back and get to this last step of how do you outreach to people before we wrap the video up. So if I were to outreach to Jake, here's what I would do. First of all, we're gonna go find a video that I like, or let's see. A lot of times I like to comment on reels, and a lot of times now my reels feed is set up because I comment on so many of these people's posts and I message them that I'm only really seeing people that like have about 5 to 15,000 followers and that I could help. So like he's probably one that like the algorithm's like, oh, he's messaging people that have like low followers and are still influencers that he could potentially work with. So this is a post. Let's see. I mean, it's got a pretty cinematic vibe to it, I would say. So what I'll do is I'll go to message and I will use this button down here. I guess let me see if I can fix the screen so you can see that. Let's go like this. There we go. So I'm gonna go down to here, and you can see I did this with a bunch of other people. So I'm gonna click on this voice memo message, and I'm gonna leave like a minute voice message. And I'm doing this every day for like 10 to 15 people, so you can see the records of who I'm all doing this for. But I'm gonna click on this guy who's a fitness coach. So what I did is I left about a minute voice memo, and I said basically on Grant's, I can't remember because it was a few days ago. I said, hey, I love the fact that you're just getting started and you're trying to build up your engagement. I said there's a few ways I would optimize your call to action in your bio because I'll show you what he does. He just takes a YouTube video. He's got 132 subscribers and he's trying to grow, but he has his booking a call link in here. It's not an ideal YouTube video because it's filmed in the wrong format and things like that, but it does make it seem a little bit more real. But there's some things he could obviously do to improve himself. You can't even see in his profile picture what he looks like, so it's kind of and he has the same thing pinned, so I don't know. There's a few things he could do to maximize his results on here. He also spent I guess he did spell testimonies, right? But so I went to message, dropped a minute long voice chat of saying, "Hey Grant, like I love your content. It showed up on my reel. I would love to basically as my pitch is I'd love to meet with you. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I don't have any service to offer right now that you'd have to pay for, but I do have a business around helping people grow online and monetize themselves in a more effective way. If you'd love to meet with me, the thing I do want in a return is a testimonial because I'm trying to build out my highlight page. So I'm just being very upfront about what I want. So I'm coming off pretty genuine here. I'm not trying to like pull any strings on anyone, but if you're willing to meet with me, let me know. I'm going to send you the flyer so you can see my credentials. And then I'm also going to send you a Calendly link. So feel free to just respond to the chat or go ahead and book the call and I'll meet with you when we're free. Appreciate it. And then I'll kind of just end the message there. So again, I make it personal. I use their name, but they can see that I'm a real person. I'm not just like some guy in India that's pretending to be me that's sending out these DMs. So they can listen to this and know I took my time to do it. I then made this flyer. So this flyer is just says a little bit about what we do and what we are. So basically my call to action here, I will meet with you for a 30-minute consultation, 100% free. And then just some things that make me credible down on the bottom so you can check that. And then obviously the link to the Calendly. Do you know why I have these three things in particular?
Let me know.
Oh, yeah. So glad you asked. So first of all, I mean, how do people learn? There's different types of learning. So first of all, there's audio learning, which is focused on hearing information like in a classroom setting. So that's the voice memo. Also, what it does is crosses off my credibility. So he knows that I am the real person behind the account and I'm not trying to pull a scam on him. Second, I'm reinforcing my message with a visual component. So I've now covered the visual side of learners that can see what I do and can say, okay, this is a well put together graphic. It looks credible. I've done that check as well. Adds a little bit more to the credibility. And then finally, for the action taker learners, right, the third type, the people that learn through doing it, I said, well, I'm just going to send you the link if you want to go ahead and sign up, then you can start taking action now. So people feel like they have an immediate way to benefit and like lock in while they're motivated. And that way they don't have to go back, navigate back over to my profile and like read through this, click on the link, be like, okay, which one is let me click on this and then sign up. No, I'm making the friction as little as possible for all of these people, right? So I'm just sending them the voice memo, sending them the flyer and the chat, And then most of these people, I actually just when they start chatting with me, I'll put them in my general because I have my buddies and my primary stuff, and I don't want to get confusing. But I actually am starting to get some results on these. I just actually started this method not that long ago, but again, people learn in different ways. So if you only put out reels for people that love reading or seeing visual, um, flyers or page memos of your service breakdowns, instead of you just explaining everything in a reel they don't want to watch, then you can capitalize on that by having all these. This I just made in Canva with like 5 to 10 minutes of my time, honestly, and it was very simple. You can just export it and then save it to your photos on your phone, which is what I did. So I'll just pull out my phone and 5 to 10 minutes a day, I'll find 5 of these people and I'll record a minute long message, put this in for my photos in my phone, and then send them the link to the Calendly, and then I'm done. And then I said in the message if they want to respond to me, just go ahead and DM me, and I'll get them, the info they need. So that would be your strategy to outreach. Yours is gonna look like about a minute long session. I would kind of do the same thing at your point if you're trying to get more testimonials before you have a service, and really push a service, then I would just figure out a way you can help people, which I guess kind of is your service, and then do it for free by saying, "Hey, I'll meet with you and give you a little consultation on a fitness plan or diet plan," as long as you're cool. Recording like a 30-second video to say how I helped you that I could use on my profile, and then sending it to me back in the chat here. And then you just send them a link. You just create a little Calendly page or Google invite meeting link, and then you can send it to them and get that back as they can complete it. But this is the strategy I would use. And again, this takes me about 5 to 10 minutes to find 5 of these people and do this for them. So if you have 10 minutes a day, you can be outreaching to 35 people a week or, almost 150 something people a week. I don't know what that is, 100 to 200 people a week, which in the long game, again, some people are never going to see it and never respond. Some people, it's going to take a month or two to respond. Some people will respond the day of. So you're constantly building up this like backlog of hundreds of people that are going to have this message. So by the time they check their DMs, it could be a month or two down the road, but you're going to have a constant stream of leads coming in. If you do this for probably 60 days straight, and then you will have all the testimonials and results you need. And then from that point, the only thing you have to change is your message and I guess the flyer a little bit, and then just change your structure to being paid instead of free. And then by then, people can go in your profile and check out and see that you have a testimonials page and you're credible, so then they could start paying you. But that's what I would do if I were you. I would figure out, a link and figure out exactly what's going to happen on the call. I'll open this so you can see again what I say I do on the call on the link. So it says, in this call, we'll provide you with actionable recommendations and resources to expand your brand reach, starting with a breakdown of our services. So I kind of turn it into a slight sales call, but I'm not really trying to ask for money or pitch anything. I'm just explaining to them what we do if they were interested. And then I'm going to go over um, any tips I would give for them. But I also use this link for people that are meeting with me on a sales call too, so it doesn't get complicated. So I kind of have it written a little bit differently. So that's the way I do it. I know it's kind of a long rant on it, but I just wanted to hear if you think that's a good idea for your business or not.
Yeah, no, man, that's not even a rant. That was all great information. I think the first step I'll do is optimize the bio based off what you explained, so that it's more structured around, saying who I am, what I do because of who I am, and then how to do it. But I think this is getting the gears turning for me as far as like where to start, because that's been like my next struggle, and that's gonna be in phase two after I work on developing my content better. But like I really just don't like I know what I could offer people, but I just don't know how to structure it. But I think that this has made me think a lot about, this I guess the problem of like just because I know that I have some value to offer people doesn't mean that other people believe that. Like they have to rely on something, right? So you have to get that from somewhere. But I really like your approach in like just being so personable and like giving them three separate ways for them to understand what it is you're trying to offer. So I think that 100% could work. I just don't know. Well,
Train your dog, like very simple.
yeah, I don't know exactly like how I would find people that I consider qualified. I know that you kind of went through to see if they're like, oh, is this person legit or not with their following? Because mine would just be like, do I just go find people that are overweight and be like, hey, bro, I noticed you're overweight. Would you like to, you know what I mean?
So click on something that is on your feed that does what you do. go into one of their, this guy's doing recipes, and then go through the comments and say, if they have like, DM me work to get, shredded for the summer or whatever. Like, let's say somebody commented work, you could also just like DM the same person because they clearly are looking for ways to do that. And just say like, hey man, I see you're involved. What I would do for fitness, and obviously, yeah, you don't want to call people fat. Say, hey, you might be qualified for my services. But say, hey, I saw you comment on this guy's video about recipes. Like, if you're down to if you want more of a nutrition plan, I help people do this. And just let me know if you're interested. If it was a video like I'm trying to find like, I think these are probably his friends, so I don't know if like this is the best account because they're probably just he doesn't have a lot of like external things. Okay, this guy has a little bit more. So let's try to find like a fitness based video where somebody mm, mm, so like this guy, for instance, like he seems to like this sort of content. So I would just go back and go into that video and say, "Hey, I see you liked his video on this. Is there anything do you have any I would keep it a little bit more casual. Say, "Hey, if you're down to chat, I'd love to hear about your own fitness goals because I'm trying to grow my brand and help more people get into proper shape with fitness plans. If you want to meet and talk to me about what some of your goals are, I'd love to see if there's a way I could help you. And I'm not gonna, if you're doing it for free, just say I'm not gonna charge you. I just love to make more connections with people that are interested in this stuff. Uh, and so I'll send you the link. I'm not gonna try and sell anything, but feel free to just DM me back or click on it if you want, and we can meet face to face. And then just keep it very casual like that. Don't make it about like why they're qualified. I can do that a little bit more because I'm calling people out on some things they could do to optimize. And again, even if I was, I'm not going to say exactly what I'd fix because that's the point of the call. So we'll go into objection handling, but I'm going to put out a masterclass tomorrow on this stuff, as you know. But one of the phases is objection handling. So there's three things they could say. The main thing they're going to tell you though is I don't know if a video call is right for me. I don't know if this is the best thing for me right now. So that's basically like saying I don't know if I trust in your services. So the biggest thing you could say is, well, that's kind of is the point of the call. We're here to break it down. And again, there's no obligation. So if you want to just meet, the worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to hopefully get a little bit more clarity on where to go next. Best case, we're able to help fix your problem. But if this is a problem you care about, then a call like this is taking action. Otherwise, if you do nothing, then the chances are that it gets a lot worse and you are going to be in dire need of a better solution quickly, which does come at a higher cost or something alternative to having a free consultation now. So, I mean, let me know if you're free to meet and we can find a way to get you in and just see if there is a solution for you at this time in your life. Something like that. So just point it back to the fact that the call is the answer to that. Like they're like, oh, I don't know if it's right for me. That's what we're there to figure out. All right. We're not here to sell you. We're here to figure out if we can help each other. And that's why I love coaching coaches and not like coaching agencies or things like that as much. I still work with agencies, but because then it's like we have to be qualified for each other. I might not like the way Anthony teaches me, or Anthony might not like the instructions I give him and the way I teach him and the things I tell him to do. But that's kind of it has to be a relationship. And again, if you've ever played a sport, you can tell pretty easily what good and bad coaches are and how to figure out those things. So I think in this call, it's gonna end pretty soon. So we gave you the strategies for optimizing your bio, the strategies for outreaching to people, and kind of a way to keep that system regular and plan that into your day to day. Just doing that 5 to 10 minutes for a couple people will over time compound into a pretty substantial list of leads for you to chase up. And then when you have your service, you can send them the link to get started with that. But in the next lesson, we're gonna focus down a little bit more, I think, on your offer and how to set up. We're going to backtrack into what you're going to sell and figure out how we can structure that a little bit better so that way you have some sort of link and figure out what you're going to do on that service, because I think it seems like that's the last thing we have to figure out, and then you can honestly start pushing that system pretty regularly. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to push it now because there's nothing you're getting out of that. But yeah, I think that'll be our next step. Do you have any final words? I think we'll conclude it otherwise for today, at least.
No, man, I think this has been super informative for me. I guess final words is like, if you're watching this and you feel like you're in a similar situation as me, obviously I'm like brand new, you know what I mean? So that's kind of why we're using me as an example. But if you feel like this is applicable to you, reach out, try some of these things on your own. in the community. Let us know how it's going for you. But that's all I got.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, this is gonna go live. This is live. I guess it's gonna get posted on YouTube after this. So stay tuned for it. Hopefully the audio worked this time, but we'll see you in the next coffee hour and have a great rest of your day, everyone. Signing off.
Take care.